'Tis the season to be depressed. Nope, that's not what I wrote in my journal this morning. That's what I would have wrote if I had been journaling. It's been a while since I've journaled. And that's the problem. Because I've been realizing why the holiday seasons tend to feel really heavy. And this one isn't any different. By the end of this video, I'm going to answer a question I've been avoiding for months. I've already prayed and asked God that whatever you need to hear, that you will hear. You will hear and receive. This is not going to be a polished teaching today. I just wanted it to be raw and right off my chest. I'm Donna Dunlap, and this is Picturing Hearts. But again, this is more like a thinking out loud, kind of processing my thoughts, sort of like a journal entry. And by the end of this video, I'm going to get to the bottom of these thoughts. There are some questions that I've been avoiding. Can you believe it's Christmas again? What does Christmas mean to you? I know it's celebrating Jesus' birthday, and birthdays are meant for celebrating life. I remember the day that my first daughter was born, and looking down in her face and looking at her beautiful eyes, a life that Gary and I made through God's blessing. I can't even put it into words. When Brianna was born, Gary had the opportunity to be in the labor room with me, and all I can remember as I was pushing the baby forward, he was in the background. The noises that he was making, I mean, he was so excited. Ooh, 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 ooh. That's all he kept saying over and over and over again. He was so excited. And then Crystal was born. Crystal, our baby. I had a cesarean section with Crystal, so Gary wasn't able to be there for her birth, just like he wasn't able to be there for Carrie's birth. But it didn't matter. Different circumstances, but the same love, the same appreciation for life. And in a few weeks, we're going to celebrate the birth of Jesus. But here's what I'm realizing the closer it gets to Christmas Day. To be honest, I'm not thinking about Jesus' birth very much. I'm thinking about what I'm going to cook, what presents need to be bought, what decorations need to be put up, all of that. It's a lot. It can get overwhelming. That's how anxiety creeps in. A lot of thoughts. The last couple of videos I've talked about capturing our thoughts. Capturing our thoughts is a practice that we have to actually keep practicing over and over and over again. Just like riding a bike. Most of us, our first bike was a tricycle. And then when we graduated from the tricycle, when we got our two-wheeler with training wheels. And man, you couldn't tell us anything when we got those training wheels taken off. Man, can you remember that? Just riding your bike for the first time without training wheels. You can feel it, can't you? I'm sitting here realizing that the emotions attached to our daughters being born and those emotions learning to ride my bike, I don't think it's random. There's a correlation to how our brains respond to memories. I was watching a video this morning, Dr. Lee Warren. He's a neuroscientist that I've been listening to a lot lately. He said that our brain remembers emotions more than it remembers facts. Think about that. I can't remember the year that I learned to ride a bike, what color the bike was. I don't remember any of that, but I remember how I felt. As I was describing it, I actually was able to feel that emotion, that sheer excitement and exhilaration of flying down that street. Maybe I even conveyed the emotion in such a way that you felt it. when I talked about it. Or perhaps you thought about your own emotional excitement when the training wheels came off of your bike. We really need to consider this when it comes to depression. What emotions are we planting this Christmas season? Here's what I'm learning about how God designed us. Our brain and our mind are two different things. They are not the same. Our brain, the physical organ in our head, its primary job is to keep us safe, not to make you happy, and not even to tell you the truth. It's to keep you alive. Think about it this way. If you're in a crowd and all of a sudden you hear pow, 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 you're not going to stand still to determine whether or not that's a gunshot or not. You're going to get the heck out of there. You're going to run. That's your brain doing its job, prioritizing your safety. Safety over accuracy. But here's the problem. When we're depressed, our brain treats emotional danger the same as physical danger. So even when we're safe, our brain is screaming that we're not. Even when the danger is from years ago, our brain remembers that emotion. And it acts like that threat is still there. That's why we can't just think positive about depression. Our brain is stuck in that default mode, the safety mode. So what do? God doesn't tell us to renew our brain. He tells us to renew our minds. Romans 12:2, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Remember, the mind is different from the brain. The mind is the gardener. The brain is the soil. Okay, here's one of my favorite metaphors. So let me paint this picture. Picture a garden. You have soil and the gardener. The soil, the physical ground. It has nutrients, chemistry, biology. It can be rich and fertile, or it could be depleted and hard. The gardener is the one who decides what to plant, what to cultivate, what weeds to pull. In this metaphor, your brain is the soil and your mind is the gardener. Depression can deplete the soil. That's the biological component. And sometimes the soil just needs a little help. That's medication, that's therapy, that's rest. But even with good soil, the gardener still has to decide what to plant. What thoughts are you planting in that soil? That's what I'm asking myself. Donna, what thought are you planting today? What lies are you letting grow in that soil? What lies are you letting grow like weeds? Here's what I've realized. For the last few years, I haven't been gardening at all. I've been letting whatever wants to grow, grow. Just grow out of control. That's what weeds do. They just take over. The lies, the default thoughts. But when I used to journal, I was intentional about the thoughts that I was planting. And I was intentionally looking for the weeds when I was journaling. But I stopped. And I found myself asking this question, but unable to answer. And the question was, did I stop journaling because I got depressed? Or did I get depressed because I stopped journaling? It's so clear to me now that I was doing better because I was journaling. I wasn't journaling because I wasn't depressed, but in the depression, I was progressing. I was moving forward because I was journaling. And as long as I journaled, I continued to do better. But when I stopped journaling, I was no longer planting new seeds. And so the weeds started growing again. And the less I journaled, the more the weeds grew. Does that make sense? It's making sense to me. It's making a lot of sense to me. So there it is. I literally just worked that out. That's what journaling does. It helps you to process. It helps you to see what's true. And I haven't been doing that. Okay, so let's go back to the garden metaphor, because I think that's really important. The gardener, your mind, is responsible for recognizing the difference between the weeds and the healthy plants, between lies and truth. And the gardener has to pull those weeds out, because every good gardener knows that you don't just snip off the top of a weed. You have to pull them out by the root. You just can't ignore the weeds and hope they'll go away. You have to get your hands dirty. You have to do the work. That's what journaling did for me when I actually journaled. I was able to get my hands in the soil of my mind and examine what was actually growing there, pulling out the lies by the roots and planting truth instead. And to be honest, I'm afraid of what I'm going to find when I start journaling again. I talked to my therapist about it. I see the correlation between pouring my heart out to God and journaling. Both of them are good things. So why do I hesitate? Because it's the emotions that can be overwhelming and hard to face. My therapist told me that I still have masks that I need to take off. And I know she's right. I know that there's things that I'm hiding from, things that I don't want to look at. Behind this mask where growth is, I'm not intentionally trying to cover up. It's just safer. It's more comfortable to stay hidden. I'm afraid of all that is there. I'm afraid of what the journaling is going to reveal. But I'm choosing courage over comfort, because I want to heal. I want to grow. I want to dream again. I want to see the dreams that God has for me. I know He has something big and better than I can even imagine. I want to walk in it. I know I won't be able to see those dreams as long as the weeds are in the way. And sometimes, y'all, the weeds can be deceiving. Wildflowers are beautiful, but they're still weeds. Those wildflowers are weeds if they're obstructing the view of what God has for you. I just thought about that. That's rich. Look at God. Look at what He was able to help me to see as I brought you all on this journey of thought processing with me. I can't wait to see what becomes of the journaling. Would you want to join me? I've been thinking about going live with a journal session, maybe 20, 30-minute journal session, maybe once a week, where we just journal together, light some candles, play peaceful music, and for 20 to 30 minutes, We just write, process our thoughts, pull out some weeds, and plant some truth. If that's something that you'd be interested in, let me know in the comments, because I'll do it if you show up. So 'tis the season. 'Tis the season of depression for some of us, but it doesn't have to stay that way. We're not victims of our brains, and we're not prisoners to the default mode. We are the authors of our own stories. And there's somebody else out there that feels this way too, so please share this video with them. Encourage them. Give them hope. Let them know that they can get in the driver's seat. Share the video. If you want more behind the scenes of this journey, I've started uploading a new series called Behind the Lens every Monday. Just raw footage of my day with thoughts overlaid. It's intimate, it's real, it's messy. I don't know what this Christmas will hold, but I'm going to face it with a journal in my hand, ready to pull the weeds and ready to plant truth, ready to see what God wants to grow in this season. Will you join me? Let's keep picturing our hearts together, remembering that God is planting something beautiful. I'll see you next Thursday.